Hello everyone, Minute Plus Meditation, Tuesday, February the 15th. From the first reading, we continue with the letter of Epistle of St. James. Blessed is anyone who endures temptation. Such a one has stood the test and will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him. No one, when tempted, should say, I am being tempted by God. For God cannot be tempted by evil, and he himself tempts no one. So much here to kind of discuss and unpack. Basically, we endure temptation. We don't put ourselves in the occasion of sin. We don't bring temptation on. That's so important. If we do, we're asking for trouble, and we can't be guaranteed that God will protect us. In other words, pluck us from the fire that we ourselves walk into willingly, and then say, oh, I couldn't resist. It was too strong for me. Rather than repent, acknowledge that I could have stopped this. I could have not gone into that occasion. I was warned not to, and I could have, like nipping it in the bud, as it were. You know, the ounce of cure is better than the ounce of pain is better than the pound of cure, so to speak. So we may have to endure a little pain at the beginning rather than a pound of cure, a much more difficult process to go through. So we have to acknowledge, our part in all of this, right? God does not intentionally tempt anyone. It's contrary to his will. He can't do this. It's not possible, period. Absolutely, period. Such a one has stood the test and will receive the crown of life. I think St. James here is talking about, temptations that will lead to the loss of our life, but also the accumulation of temptations that we endure, that we resist, and we do this for love of God. This will help build character. It'll help cultivate the capacity for more virtue, and as a result of this, we will become stronger in the Lord. Not more self-sufficient, but stronger because we recognize that God's grace is active in our life. And this gives us a freedom, a capacity, a power to say no to temptation. We realize its evilness right away. And even though it bothers us, it may even be a fire in our system, we take every measure possible without hurting ourselves to say no, to stay close to Christ. And that's what St. Paul is saying here, that is very possible for you and me, or St. James, I should say. And sometimes we don't do this, and that's why, many times actually, I remember I'm a confessor, we forget to do this. That's why we need good, solid habits like daily prayer, meditation, rosary, regular confession. Like all of this stuff really has a purpose, right? To kind of prepare us to walk with Jesus every day, be his daily disciples, so we don't forget his presence when some temptation comes at us, or when we see an occasion presenting itself to us. We, as St. Philip Neri said, in all temptations fight, but when it comes to the flesh, run like hell, so to speak. And it's true. Otherwise, we're just being downright stupid. To think that we're strong enough, anybody's strong enough to resist that kind of stuff. We're not. So if you see that kind of stuff coming and you know better, turn around, get the blazes out of there. You can do it with charity, but if you have to, do it in any way necessary to prevent yourself from committing sin and bringing the other person into sin as well. Okay. So continuing with Mark, after feeding the crowd, Jesus got into the boat. Now the disciples had forgotten to bring any bread, and they had only one loaf with them in the boat. And Jesus cautioned them, saying, watch out, beware of the yeast of the Pharisees and the yeast of Herod. And they don't get it. They don't know what he's talking about. So basically, they recognize that what he's talking about is their teaching, right? Is their teaching. Do you not perceive or understand? Are your hearts hardened? Do you have eyes? Do you have eyes and fail to see? When I broke the 5 loaves and the 5,000, how many baskets full? And they said 12. And then he goes on, the other one 7. So he's basically trying to help them understand the insidious teaching of the Pharisees, how it leads people astray, and how they need to be faithful to what he is teaching them and not depart from it one iota. Because their assurance of salvation comes not from seductive words in the world, but rather from him who is the fullness of truth. And for us Catholics, we are tempted by ideas in the world, and we're tempted by an easier way out. And whether it's easier or more difficult, because some of these ways are more difficult. Some people kill themselves for more money, in their job. It's not easy, but they're tempted to do that. And in the process, they may destroy their family, destroy their health, or they're just unhappy. Maybe their family stays together and they accumulate lots of money, but they're really unhappy. And we have to remember it's only the words of Jesus Christ that can give us true contentment, true fulfillment, true serenity, true peace. And that's just so important for us to remember on a regular basis. These things can get into our hearts, the world, and the teachings of others, and they can kind of distort us, turn us around and lead us to act out in certain ways. But we need to be attentive to the teaching of Christ, because he's the only one. He's the only one who can bring us true happiness. Try to remember this in your daily walk with him. God bless you.